Welcome to another episode of the Matt Arroyo Show. I'm Matt Arroyo, and today we're going to be talking about the most important thing in your life, which is your relationships. Human relationships. They're going to take up almost 100% of your life when it comes to your quality of life, because almost everything you do requires and involves other people in your life. So the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of your relationships. If you have a terrible life, it's probably because you're not good with people. You're not good at developing relationships. Some of the best times you'll ever have, some of the best opportunities you'll ever get is because people look at you in a positive way. People like you, people trust you, your reputation, all of this matters so much. It's invaluable. You can't buy it. You could read books and learn about how to get it. Okay. And the number one book in the history of the world that has ever been written, and I could confidently say this because I've read it 4 times, and I've read a lot of books on relationships and sales and getting people to like you and trust you and psychology. But the number one book, and most of you already know what it is because you've probably been told to read it or recommended someone to read it, or maybe you've even read it yourself. But a couple of the concepts from this book that we're going to be talking about is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It was written many years ago. I'm not sure the exact date, but at least over 50 years ago for sure. And the concepts apply perfectly to today. So where are we going to start in this book? It starts out strong with three concepts, 3 things you should never do. I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to get into something that I coined, stealing the meat. And it's basically, if you take like 5 or 6 of the concepts in the book and mold them together that I think will help you the most, it's that. And I'll tell you that in a second. But the first 3 things, they come in hot, they come in fast. The 3 things you should never do. And this is very difficult for a lot of people, including myself, including everybody I know, because it's just human nature to do these 3 things. But you only have control over one thing, and that is your mind and what you do, your actions. So the 3 things you should never do, according to Dale Carnegie in Think and Grow, not Think and Grow Rich, I'm sorry, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is don't criticize, don't condemn, and don't complain. All right, so let's talk about complain. How many of us complain almost every day about something? Oh man, it's hot in here. Oh man, I can't believe this. The government, what they're doing. I can't believe this. Can you believe Jane, what she did? Can you believe that? This is ridiculous. Ah, my arm hurts, my leg hurts, my face hurts. Just outwardly complaining to people. There's a couple things, unless it's your really, really, really close, tight knit group, family, friends, most people don't really care. Okay, so that's just being honest. If they're like, oh yeah, it's just because they're just trying to get out of there. Most people don't care about your complaints, about the bad things that happen, because we all have our own stuff to deal with too. Okay, so don't complain. Nobody likes it. You're not going to attract anybody that way. Nobody wants to hear complaining. Everybody's got their own things, and nobody wants anything extra on their plate, especially from someone maybe they don't even like, or maybe they're not even great friends with, or maybe you're just a coworker and you're complaining. You're never going to get raises that way. You're never going to get promoted that way. Complaining is useless. It may make you feel better for a second, but it makes everybody else feel worse. And deep down in your subconscious, it will make you feel worse because you're focusing on the negative. So don't complain. Nobody cares. Sorry. Nobody wants to hear it. Maybe your mom does. You know, they'll coddle you, or your husband or your wife. They kind of have to. Your kids. But other than that, really, you shouldn't even be complaining. Try 1 week, try 7 days without making one complaint. And if you catch yourself, just catch yourself. You put a rubber band on your wrist, pull it and snap it every time you complain. Give someone $1 every time you complain. Tell all your closest friends, if I complain, if I criticize, condemn, or complain, I have to give you $1. And just kill the habit altogether. Try for 7 days. Your life will improve drastically. And just try to train your brain to never complain. If you got something going on, you can internalize it. Okay, this sucks. Now how can we fix it? Now, what can we do to make it better? All right. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Criticize. Very difficult to not criticize things and people. Like, man, what is that girl doing with that hair? Like, that's ridiculous. Or what is that? Why would he do that? Why would someone do? We don't know why people do what they do. People are crazy. And there you go. I just criticized in this podcast. But we don't know why people do what they do. We know why we do what we do, because it's our thoughts. We're thinking them. Our thoughts turn into our actions and we go and do things. But to try to understand what people are going through to do the things that they do, you'll never know, because you have no clue what they're going through. There was a good story in one of the books I've read, and it was this guy who was on a train, and he was going from wherever, New York to New Jersey, and he's on like a subway or something. And he's sitting there and he's looking over and he sees this dad, and he sees these three kids just acting up, like screaming and yelling and laughing and throwing stuff and moving around and doing different things. And this guy's thinking, man, what is this? What are these kids doing? This is a train. Everyone's quiet. Everyone's trying to just relax. And these kids are just stepping all over everyone, looking up at the dad, like totally criticizing, like, what are you, he's thinking, what are you doing? Discipline your kids. So after a while, it just became too much. The kids were just out of control. So the guy actually went up to the father and said, hey man, what's up with your kids? Like, they're going nuts. It looks like everyone's about to complain on you. And he said, I know, you're absolutely right. I just can't bring myself to say anything to them. Their mom literally just died last night, and we're traveling back from New York to whatever to go do the funeral. And I got to let them do what they're going to do. So the guy was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it. So that's an extreme example of what people could be going through, of why they're allowing things to happen or why they're acting the way they're acting. So we never really know. It could be something like that, or someone could just be an a-hole. Who knows? Or the kids just could be undisciplined, or they're not being parented good enough. Whatever it is, we don't know that. So don't criticize, because you never know what people are going through. And this is very difficult for myself, very difficult for all of us. So we try our best. So don't criticize, don't complain, and don't condemn. What is condemning? Like, that's it. I'm done with this guy. He's a piece of crap. He's whatever. Like, so it's just another form of criticizing, but it's like a worse form. Like, you're condemning people. Like, that's it. Shun them. So don't do that as well. Again, you don't know what people are going through. You have no clue what people have been through in their life. You look at the guys on the street begging for money. We don't know the kind of trauma they experienced as a kid. To condemn them or to criticize them. Why don't you get a job? Well, maybe they're so bad mentally, their brains fried from drug. Who knows? They've gotten sexually abused as a kid, neglect, no hugs, nothing. You just can't do it. So hopefully that helps. Don't criticize, condemn, don't complain. That's the first part. Second part. This is the one, if you're an adult watching this or listening to this, pay close attention. Okay, this is so important. I would love every adult in the whole world to hear this, at least the ones I deal with in a daily basis. I call this concept, don't steal the meat. And there's probably 6 or 7 concepts wrapped into this one, from How to Win Friends and Influence People, and from any other book on relationships and getting people to like you and trust you. But this is a big one. Don't steal the meat. What does that mean? I'm going to give you a perfect example of stealing the meat. Okay. You got Bob and Bill. Okay. So let's say Bob is very excited to tell Bill this story about how he went to the fair this past weekend. Hey, Bob, check this out, man. I'm sorry. Hey, Bill, how's it going, man? Good. So, dude, I went to the fair this weekend. It was so awesome. I went on the Ferris wheel with my kids. Cut. Bill cuts him off. Oh, dude, I went on the Ferris wheel too. Last year, me and my kids went, and he totally stole the meat, took the story over, and now it's his story. And now Bob has to listen to Bill, and he's listening, but he's also thinking, wait a minute, I didn't finish what I was saying. He stole the meat from me, and now I got to listen to his story. You know what? I'm not going to do that, because it was my turn to tell the story. He wasn't listening. I can't wait for him to go silent for 1 second to take it back so I can go back to what I was doing. And it's just this two starving people just having this piece of meat. They just want to eat it. No, I'll give it back, give it back. I see it every day. I'm sitting here in my office. I hear it in the gym. I hear it from my students. I hear it everywhere. Everywhere I go, almost every person. I would say there's a good 5 to 10% of people, at least in my world, or in the maybe even in the country, who understand the concept of don't steal the meat, and they actually listen and they actually ask you questions about what it is you're talking about. And then if they want to bring in an experience they had that relates to that story after you're done, then it's nice to do that. So let me show you another example of not stealing the meat. Okay, I'm Bob. That's Bill. All right, so I'm Bob. Actually, you know what? I'll be Bill this time. So Bob says to Bill, hey, man, you never believe it. I went to the fair this weekend. Okay, so right away, Bill is looking into Bob's eyes, listening to him, giving him the nods when appropriate. Maybe some eyebrows up. Yeah, and we went. And we went on the Ferris wheel, me and my two kids. It was so cool because the Ferris wheel was going and my kids were so excited. And it was just so cool. Now, instead of Bill stealing the meat and saying, yeah, when I went on the Ferris wheel, Mike, instead he goes, oh, really? You went to the fair? What else did you do at the fair? Oh, yeah, man, we went on this and this. Oh, that's cool. Did you go on the Gravitron? The Gravitron, the one that spins and you're stuck to the wall? Yeah, we actually did. My son almost threw up. It was crazy. That's awesome, man. What about like the games? Did you guys play any games? Because some of the games at the fair are awesome. Yeah, we did the dart one where you throw it at the balloon. We did this and that. So what Bill is doing is he's actually actively listening and asking questions about what he's saying and actually listening like, oh, cool. Asking more questions about it, letting him get the full feast on that meat. Let him feast it. Let him eat it. Let him get until he's full. Once he's full, he'll stop talking about it. Now, if someone talks too much, you might want to cut him off, but at least give them that courtesy of a couple questions. I would say 2 to 3 questions about what they're talking about. Once it gets to a little bit of halt, now, if you want to, you don't have to, you can leave it at that. Oh, that's great, man. Good stuff. Walk away. Or you can, if you wanted to chime in on the time you went to the fair this time, now you say, yeah, dude, I took after the 3 questions. Yeah. And I know I took my kids on the Gravitron too. They loved it. I didn't like it. My head was spinning, but yeah, it was pretty cool, man. We did the same. Why is it so hard? Because people are starving to talk and to get the meat and to get the attention and to be heard, right? Maybe you're not heard at home. Maybe you weren't heard growing up, but if you're an adult now, you have no excuse. This is a skill you have to learn. You have to ask people about themselves too. If you want to develop a relationship, if you want everyone to not like you, then be the guy that just talks. And when someone tries to chime in, you cut them off and you talk. When someone tries to give any input, you steal the meat back and you talk. You'll get some ears for a little while, but then they're going to avoid you. They're going to avoid your texts. They're going to avoid your calls. They're going to avoid seeing you. They're going to try to walk the other way when they see you out in public. Ask me how I know. I know this. I'm observing all the time. I'm watching this. I see this every day. I'm around a lot of people every day. We have, over 500 students that come here. And when I'm out with my friends, we're just around a lot of people. And if you observe what you're learning, so you're learning things from these books and then you just see it. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. So don't be the meat stealer. If someone's trying to tell you something, listen, look at them, listen, ask them questions about it. If you really feel the need to tell them about your stuff, go for it, but wait until you've asked a few questions about it. And then go ahead and chime in on it. But something that's relatable to what they're saying, not like something completely different. And then when the conversation settles, bring up whatever the heck you want. If they're asking you questions, which is rare, because most people just want to talk about themselves. Most people, while you're talking, are just waiting for that one moment of brief silence for them to chime back in and be like, oh, well, I did this. And oh, well, when I. Okay, so hopefully after listening to this, you're going to notice 2 things. You're going to notice how many people do this. Okay, and again, it is what it is. And you're going to notice yourself doing it. And hopefully, my wish, my prayer for today is that if you catch yourself doing it, and you're like, whip. And after 3 or 4 of them, you kill the habit. And I promise you, your life will improve. Your relationships will improve. Ask people about what's going on in their life. So when you start to see someone for the first time in a little bit, start asking them questions. They'll ask you questions back. Hopefully it's a dialogue back and forth. One person the whole time isn't good either. But especially if you're trying to develop a relationship with someone, maybe this person is somebody you look up to, that you want to mentor under. Maybe this person is somebody who has a skill that you want to model, or even it just has a personality you want to model. So you're trying to develop a relationship, you're trying to become friends with this person. Listen twice as much as you're talking. 2 ears, 1 mouth. God put those like that for a reason. We should be listening more than we're talking. If we're mentoring someone and they're directly asking us for our help, it's the opposite. You should be talking more than you're listening, because they are trying to learn from you. So if you're giving out, that's the time. But if it's just 2 people, same field, we're not trying to mentor each other, we're just trying to be friends, we're trying to talk, we're trying to whatever, just freaking ask some questions, dude. Don't steal the meat right away. At least give them 2-3 questions. Add to the story, add to it. Then if you want to bring something up of your own, take the meat politely. And now it's like a give and take, give and take. I really hope this helped. I really hope, it's my hope that you notice this now in yourself and in other people, and you help make the change. And to help other people, instead of directly telling them this, which will make them feel bad, share the podcast with them. Check this podcast out. This will help you a lot. Anybody you think might need help with this. And again, I'm not perfect at all. I do this sometimes, and I've been learning this concept for years and years and years now. So I hope to think that I've completely killed it, but maybe some people I'm around, I feel like I should talk more, and maybe I don't listen as much. So you're always trying to improve. You're always trying to get better at this skill. But I labeled it, I named it, don't steal the meat. Let people eat some meat too. Then you take a bite, and then you let them eat a bunch, and then you take a little bite. It's give and take, ask questions. And I really hope this helps. So I'm going to end it there. Don't criticize, don't condemn, don't complain, and don't steal the meat. So this is the 4 don'ts if you want to increase your quality of life by increasing the quality of your relationships. Again, if you want to see more stuff from me, you can go to mattarroyo.com, and check out all the different ways that we could connect. You can get on my email list and get weekly tips. You can just do nothing and just continue listening to the Matt Arroyo podcast on Apple iTunes. And I appreciate it. Share this if you liked it. And I will see you on the next Matt Arroyo show. Peace.